last chapter in your book, you draw the differences between Bitcoin and crypto. And we sort of touched on this earlier with the topic of decentralization, but how do you unpack that? And you mentioned that it exists on a spectrum, right? It's not black or white, even though we often say centralization or decentralization. There's actually a spectrum between the two. How do you approach the differences between Bitcoin and crypto for your audience?
Yeah, well, it was definitely a necessary explanation. And I saved it for the back because I didn't want to introduce too much confusion into the audience's mind. But I knew that would be a question, right? The target audience is people who don't understand Bitcoin yet. And so a common question is, well, what are these other cryptos, right? Is this Bitcoin? Like, what's Bitcoin Cash? What's Ethereum? What are all these things? And so everything we've discussed so far is applicable to just Bitcoin. All the other cryptos, for lack of word, they're shit, right? They're not truly decentralized. Like we dove deep into decentralization earlier, and the one like telltale sign you can know is something decentralized or not is there a guy like who's running this joint. Ethereum has Vitalik, Cardano has Charles Hoskinson's, like Hex has Richard Hart. The very nature of having a guy, quote unquote, like we know the federal government, if they can go after them, like they can coerce them into running the network however they see fit and censor people, right? If there's a guy, it's not actually decentralized. There's literally an Ethereum foundation. Like that is very much not decentralized. It has a foundation. There's no Bitcoin foundation. Like Satoshi Nakamoto is pseudonymous. Even if he came back today, he's not in charge of the Bitcoin network. He has no more power than anybody else. Another telltale sign is, was there a pre-mine? Was there a private exclusive offering of the tokens before it was actually released to the public? And you see that with, in the 2017 ICO craze, that's literally what was going on. There's initial coin offerings, but all the quote unquote founders and their promoters and the people backing the project financially got tokens before, and then they dumped on the retail. And so there's quite a few different ways to know whether something's Bitcoin or shitcoin. And another one would be proof of work. So we mentioned earlier that you need physical power to defend property. And so on a crypto network, because it exists in cyberspace, like how can you bridge cyberspace with physical power? It is only through proof of work where the Bitcoin miners have to exert energy to add transactions, or in the inverse, if they wanted to censor transactions, they also have to emit physical energy. But under a proof of stake network, there isn't that physical energy cost. If you have 51% of the stake for Ethereum, there's no physical cost to attack the network because stake doesn't actually exist in the physical world. So it's got to be proof of work. There can't be a guy. There can't be a pre-mine. That really only leaves a handful of options. It leaves like Bitcoin and some hard forks. So like Dogecoin, like Bitcoin Cash. But then you just look at network effects. Like, do you want the proof of work network that has a $1.3 trillion market cap and 650 exahash of hash power defending it? Or do you want the thing that has $1 billion market cap and 2 or 3 exahash, right? Digital monopolies, they tend to converge to one. Money tends to converge to one. So when you're comparing Bitcoin to the other proof of work crypto networks that didn't have a pre-mine, like Bitcoin is far and away like the outperformer. It's the king, it's the champion. And this is true when you look at their price performance as well. So all of these have made Bitcoin denominated all-time highs in the past, and then it's straight down from there.
Yeah, if people listen to those words, they could save themselves a lot of headache and money just going Bitcoin, not shitcoin. But a lot of people seem to need to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, click here to find more just like it, and here to find our most recent episode. Also, make sure to like this video to help shine light on the corruption of money, and be sure to subscribe to this channel to stay connected.